Chosen one. This economic shift is God's wealth transfer. I repeat, this economic shift is God's wealth transfer. Chosen one. Pause for a moment and look beyond the headlines, beyond the fear, beyond the noise filling the world right now. What you are witnessing is not random chaos, not economic collapse, and not the end of provision. This shift unfolding across nations, markets, and systems is not accidental. It is intentional, it is prophetic, and it has your name written into it. Chosen one. While many are panicking over inflation, instability, and financial uncertainty, heaven is executing a transfer strategy that was spoken long before this moment arrived. What looks like shaking in the natural is alignment in the spiritual. What looks like loss to the world is positioning for the Anointed One. God is not withdrawing resources from the earth. He is redistributing them, redirecting them, and placing them into hands that can be trusted with purpose. Anointed One. This is not about luck, timing, or human effort. This is about divine assignment. The same systems that are failing others are making room for you. The same pressure crushing many is refining you. You were not preserved through past seasons by accident. You were prepared for this hour. Chosen one. This economic shift is not happening to you, it is happening for you. And as this message unfolds, you will begin to see clearly why this moment marks the beginning of God's wealth transfer into your life. Chosen one. What you are sensing right now is not imagination, anxiety, or emotional overload. It is discernment awakening. There is a reason your spirit has felt restless as the world talks about recession, instability, collapsing systems, and uncertain futures. There is a reason you feel both pressure and anticipation at the same time. You are not confused. You are standing at the intersection of shaking and shifting. And those are not the same thing. I remember a season in my own life when everything external looked like it was falling apart at once. Income slowed, opportunities dried up, plans I trusted collapsed without warning. From the outside it looked like loss, but internally something strange was happening. I was becoming calmer, sharper, more discerning. I stopped reacting in fear. I started listening more closely. That was the first sign I didn't recognize back then. Heaven had begun to intervene, not by removing the storm, but by repositioning me inside it. Chosen one. This economic shift you are witnessing is not merely a financial event. It is a spiritual sorting. Systems are being shaken because they were built on foundations that could not carry what was coming next. And when foundations fail, redistribution begins, not randomly, not emotionally, but intentionally. God does not allow shaking without assignment. What looks like chaos to many is clarity to the Anointed One. You have to understand this. Heaven does not move wealth the way the world does. The world moves wealth toward power, influence, speed, and visibility. Heaven moves wealth towards stewardship, obedience, timing, and character. That is why some people can work harder than you, strive more than you, and still feel like everything is slipping through their hands, while you, even in quiet seasons, are being preserved. You were not delayed. You were being trained to carry what others would waste. Chosen. One fear is the language of those who don't understand what season they are in. When people don't know whether they are being judged or repositioned, they panic. But when you know heaven is involved, you slow down, you listen, you align, you prepare. That is what you are doing now, even if you didn't have the words for it before this moment. There were times I questioned why my path felt narrower as others seemed to accelerate, why certain doors closed even though I prayed over them. Why comfort left before abundance arrived. But I see it clearly now. God will always shrink your environment before He expands your influence. He will always strip noise before He releases clarity. and he will always deal with your fear before he entrusts you with increase. Anointed One. This shift is exposing who has been building on hype and who has been building on obedience. It is revealing who depended on systems and who depended on alignment. You may not have had everything you wanted, but you had something far more valuable: access. Access to wisdom, access to discernment, access to restraint. And those are the currencies heaven honors when wealth changes hands. Let me speak plainly to your spirit. The reason you survived seasons that should have crushed you is because your survival was not the goal. Preparation was. The reason you felt pressure without collapse is because you were being conditioned. The reason your desires changed, your tolerance lowered, and your priorities shifted is because heaven was adjusting your capacity. God does not pour new wine into old containers. He reshapes the container first. Chosen One. The wealth transfer you are stepping into will not arrive loudly. It will arrive precisely. It may come through insight, others ignore opportunities, others dismiss, or timing others misunderstand. That is why fear has been so aggressively targeted in this season. Fear is the only thing that can make you fumble what is already assigned to you. Fear causes haste. Fear causes compromise. Fear causes misalignment. And heaven cannot fund what fear controls. I've learned this through experience, not theory. The moments when I rushed were the moments I lost peace. The moments I waited were the moments alignment arrived without force. God is not asking you to chase money. He is asking you to stay positioned. He is not asking you to predict outcomes. He is asking you to trust timing, and he is not asking you to prove your worth. He is reminding you that you were chosen before the shaking began. Anointed One, look at how your inner world has changed. You don't react the way you used to. You see through things faster. You feel resistance where you once felt excitement. That is not loss of passion. That is maturity. That is discernment sharpening in real time. Heaven is teaching you how to recognize what belongs to your next season and what does not. This economic shift is not here to punish you. It is here to release you, to detach you from dependence on unstable systems and attach you to divine flow. There is a difference between struggling and being pruned. One drains you, the other prepares you. And what you are experiencing now is not depletion, it is refinement. Chosen One, hear this clearly and let it settle deep. God is not just moving resources, He is moving authority. He is not just redistributing money. He is redistributing influence, access, and responsibility. That is why this season feels weighty. Wealth without weight corrupts. Wealth with weight transforms. And you are being trusted with weight. I know what it feels like to stand in uncertainty while carrying an inner knowing that something is coming. I know what it's like to keep showing up when nothing looks guaranteed. And I also know this: every time heaven was quiet, it was because something was being arranged beyond my control. Silence was never absence, it was construction. Chosen One, stay grounded, stay surrendered, stay aligned. You are not late, you are not behind, you are not missing anything. You are standing exactly where heaven can reach you without obstruction. And as this shift continues, what has been hidden will surface, what has been delayed will accelerate, and what has been assigned to you will recognize you without struggle. This is not survival season, this is transition, and heaven does not transition you without intention. Chosen One. There is a reason this season feels heavier than anything you have carried before. It is not because you are failing. It is because the weight you are sensing is not pressure from lack. It is the weight of responsibility approaching. Heaven does not announce elevation with comfort. It announces it with compression. Before God expands your territory, He compresses your focus. Before he multiplies resources, he purifies motives. And before he releases wealth, he recalibrates identity. I want you to understand something deeply personal, not as a preacher speaking from distance, but as someone who has lived through this exact threshold. There were moments when I asked God why clarity was increasing while certainty was decreasing, why I could see more yet control less, why discernment sharpened but outcomes stayed hidden. What I did not realize then was that heaven was training me to walk by alignment, not reassurance. Because reassurance creates dependence, alignment creates authority. Chosen one. Many people are afraid right now because their confidence was built on stability instead of source. When systems shake, anything built on them collapses internally first. That is why anxiety is spreading faster than truth. But you are different, not because you are immune to pressure, but because your spirit was never anchored to the system in the first place. You were anchored to obedience even when you didn't fully understand what you were obeying. This economic shift is exposing false security. Careers that looked untouchable are dissolving. Industries that felt permanent are shrinking. Paths people trusted without question are no longer reliable. And yet in the middle of this, you are not panicking, you are listening. That alone tells me heaven has been preparing you for years. You were learning to hear before you were ever asked to receive. I remember watching others move faster than me and wondering if I had missed something. They had momentum recognition and resources. I had restraint. They had speed. I had delay. But what I did not see then was that speed without stewardship creates collapse later. God was not withholding from me. He was protecting me from entering rooms before I had the weight to carry what was inside them. Chosen one. This is what many misunderstand about wealth transfer. It is not a sudden reward. It is a responsibility shift. Heaven is not trying to make you rich. Heaven is trying to make you reliable. Money follows reliability. Influence follows integrity. Expansion follows obedience. And that is why this season feels slow on the outside, but intense on the inside. Your inner world is being upgraded to match what is approaching. There is a reason your tolerance for chaos has decreased. A reason your appetite for surface-level conversations is gone. A reason distractions that once entertained you now exhaust you. This is not burnout. This is pruning. God is removing everything that would compete with your capacity to steward what is coming. Wealth does not just multiply what you have, it multiplies who you are, and heaven will never multiply confusion. Anointed one, the fear around money you see in others is not actually about money. It is about control. When people cannot predict outcomes, they panic. But God never designed you to predict the future. He designed you to trust Him inside it. That is why faith has been strengthened in you through uncertainty. That is why you learn to stand without guarantees. That is why you can sit in unanswered questions without collapsing. This shift is teaching you something critical. Provision is not sourced from stability. It is sourced from alignment. I have seen doors open that I did not knock on. I have seen opportunities arrive after I stopped chasing. I have seen solutions appear once I surrendered the timeline, and every time it happened, not because I did more, but because I trusted deeper. Chosen one. You are being invited into a new way of operating, one where effort is guided, not frantic. One where decisions are led, not reactive. One where wealth is received as assignment, not identity. The reason God is intervening now is because the old way of building would have corrupted what He intends to release. He is not just funding your life. He is funding your obedience. Look back, honestly. Notice how often you were redirected when something almost worked. How many times a near breakthrough dissolved at the last moment? How many plans you were confident in that quietly failed? Those were not accidents. Those were mercy. God was preventing premature success that would have locked you into structures too small for your future. Chosen one. The people who thrive in this next season will not be the loudest or the fastest. They will be the most aligned. They will recognize timing. They will hear instruction. They will move when heaven says move and wait when heaven says wait. That has been your training ground. Waiting without becoming bitter. Moving without becoming proud. That is rare. That is valuable. That is why you are positioned. I need you to release the guilt you carry for not progressing the way others expected. Release the pressure to explain your path. Release the internal accusation that says you should be further by now. Heaven measures progress differently. Heaven measures obedience, not optics. And by that measure you are ahead. This economic shift is not just external, it is internal. God is breaking your dependence on visible outcomes and strengthening your confidence in invisible alignment. That is why peace has been growing even when circumstances remain unclear. Peace is the confirmation, not excitement, not adrenaline. Peace is the signal that heaven is near. Anointed one. When wealth begins to shift toward you, it will not feel dramatic at first. It will feel natural, like something clicking into place, like provision finding you instead of you hunting it, like ideas landing with clarity instead of stress. That is how divine flow operates. It does not rush, it aligns. I have learned that when God is about to increase you, He simplifies your life. He removes excess noise. He narrows your focus. He clarifies your priorities. That is what you are experiencing now. And though it feels uncomfortable, it is evidence of trust. God only simplifies those He intends to multiply. Chosen one, you are not being left behind. You are being positioned ahead of collapse. You are not late. You are early. And you are not unprepared. You are precisely prepared for the way wealth will move in this next season, quietly, purposefully, and toward those who can carry it without losing themselves. Stay grounded, stay obedient, stay surrendered. Heaven is closer than you think. Chosen one. There is a hidden layer to this shift that many will never perceive because it cannot be understood with logic alone. What is happening now is not simply the movement of money, assets, or opportunities. It is the movement of permission. Heaven is granting authorization to those who have been quietly prepared to operate in rooms they were once excluded from. This is why you may feel a strange confidence rising without a clear explanation. Authority is awakening before resources arrive. I want to share something that took me years to understand. There was a time when I believed access came after success. I thought once I had enough proof, enough results, enough validation, doors would open. But what I learned through loss, delay, and silence is that access comes after alignment, not achievement. God opens doors for those He trusts, not those who perform well. Performance impresses people. Alignment moves heaven. You are living in a season where permission is being reassigned. Old gatekeepers are losing influence. Traditional pathways are becoming unreliable. The routes people depended on for decades no longer lead where they promised. This is why some who look qualified are stuck, while others who seem unlikely are being accelerated. Heaven is overriding resumes and responding to readiness. Anointed one. You have been developing readiness in places no one applauded. You learned restraint when reaction would have been easier. You learned humility when recognition was available. You learned obedience when compromise would have produced faster results. That training did not feel like progress at the time, but it was construction. God was building internal infrastructure before releasing external opportunity. This is why the shift feels personal, because it is. God is not moving wealth generically, He is moving it relationally. He is positioning people, connecting minds, and aligning assignments. And those connections will not be driven by networking or strategy alone. They will be drawn by resonance. People will recognize something in you they cannot explain. Favor will follow you into spaces you did not ask to enter. I have experienced moments where conversations changed simply because I was present. Not because I spoke louder or pushed harder, but because alignment carries a frequency. When heaven rests on someone, atmospheres adjust. That is not pride, that is stewardship, and it only comes to those who have been emptied of the need to prove themselves. Chosen one. This shift is also dismantling counterfeit ambition. There is a difference between desire and assignment. Desire wants outcome. Assignment carries responsibility. Many are realizing that what they chased was never meant to be held. That is painful but necessary. God is rescuing them from success that would have hollowed them out. You were spared that grief because heaven had something heavier for you to carry. Notice how your definition of success has changed. It is no longer about accumulation alone. It is about impact, sustainability, and peace. You are no longer impressed by excess. You are drawn to substance. That shift in appetite is a sign of maturity. It means God can trust you with more without losing you to it. The wealth being transferred in this season will not flow toward chaos. It will flow toward clarity. It will not rest on the anxious. It will settle on the anchored. This is why your inner stillness has been increasing. God has been training you to receive without panic, to steward without attachment, to lead without ego. I remember moments when opportunities arrived that looked perfect on the surface, but felt wrong in my spirit. Turning them down felt irresponsible at the time. But looking back, I see that saying no preserved capacity for something far greater. Obedience rarely feels logical in the moment, but it always proves wise in hindsight. Chosen one. Heaven is refining your discernment because the next season will require it. Not every opportunity that comes with money will come with peace. Not every door that opens will lead forward, and not every connection is meant to stay. God is teaching you to recognize alignment beyond appearance. That skill will protect you when influence increases. This shift is also breaking generational narratives. Patterns of scarcity, fear, and overwork are being interrupted through you. You are not just receiving provision for yourself. You are becoming a new reference point for those who come after you. That is why the weight feels generational, because it is. You may have noticed that people from your past are resurfacing, or that old cycles are attempting to reattach. This is common before elevation. When God prepares to lift someone, anything unresolved tries to resurface for resolution or removal. Do not be distracted. You are not meant to revisit old versions of yourself. You are meant to move forward, carrying wisdom, not wounds. Anointed one, let go of the need to be understood by those who have not walked your path. They cannot interpret obedience if they have never chosen it. They cannot value restraint if they have never needed it. Heaven does not require consensus to move. It requires consent. And you gave yours long before this shift became visible. I want you to hear this clearly. The reason you feel both anticipation and sobriety is because what is coming will change how you live, not just how you earn. Wealth without wisdom expands chaos. Wealth with wisdom establishes order. God is not trying to bless you temporarily. He is establishing something through you. There will be moments ahead when things move quickly. Decisions will need to be made. Resources will appear, connections will accelerate. When that happens, return to the stillness you are learning now. Do not abandon discernment for momentum. Move with peace, not pressure. That will keep you aligned when others rush themselves into regret. Chosen one, you are being prepared to carry increase without becoming dependent on it, to hold influence without being controlled by it, to steward wealth without being defined by it. That balance is rare. That is why the preparation was long. That is why the silence was necessary. That is why this season feels sacred. What is unfolding now is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about partnering with heaven in a way that honors what you were preserved for. Stay receptive, stay grounded, stay faithful. The permission has already been released. The rest will follow in its time. Chosen one, as this shift deepens, you may notice something subtle but undeniable happening within you. Your relationship with control is changing. You are no longer grasping for certainty the way you once did. You are less desperate to predict outcomes, less anxious to force results. That is not passivity. That is trust being refined. Heaven is teaching you how to move with surrender without losing authority. There was a time in my own journey when letting go felt irresponsible. I believed that if I didn't hold everything tightly, things would fall apart. I thought vigilance was wisdom. But what I learned often the hard way is that control is not the same as stewardship. Control comes from fear of loss. Stewardship comes from confidence in source. And God will always dismantle control before releasing increase, because control cannot coexist with faith. Chosen one. The reason surrender feels so emphasized in this season is because what is coming cannot be managed by anxiety. The next level of provision will require peace as its foundation. God is not asking you to stop planning or stop thinking. He is asking you to stop striving. There is a difference. Planning with peace is alignment. Planning with fear is interference. This economic shift is exposing how much of the world's wealth has been driven by stress, pressure, and urgency. Hustle without rest, growth without grounding, expansion without wisdom. And now those systems are burning out. You are watching exhaustion surface in places once celebrated. That is not failure. That is consequence. And God is showing you another way. Anointed one, the wealth being transferred in this season will not respond to desperation. It will respond to rest. That may sound strange, but it is deeply spiritual. When you operate from rest, you hear more clearly. You discern more accurately. You respond instead of react. That is why God has been slowing certain things down in your life. He was not withholding momentum. He was anchoring you. You may have felt moments where you wanted to rush forward to make something happen to secure your future before things got worse. That instinct is human. But heaven interrupted it for a reason. God knew that if you moved too quickly, you would attach yourself to solutions that could not sustain what He intends to build through you. Delay was not denial. It was protection from premature agreement. Chosen one, notice how your prayers have changed. They are less frantic, less demanding, more surrendered. You are no longer asking God to rescue you from the storm. You are asking Him to show you how to walk through it with clarity. That is maturity. That is partnership. And partnership is what unlocks stewardship-level provision. I want to speak honestly about something many avoid. Wealth amplifies who you already are. It does not fix insecurity. It does not heal wounds. It does not replace identity. God has been healing those areas in you before releasing resources because He loves you too much to let blessing become bondage. That inner work you endured, the emotional confrontations, the uncomfortable growth, the quiet self-examination, that was mercy. Anointed One. The reason you are being taught to surrender now is because the next season will test it. There will be moments when opportunity invites ego, when influence invites self-reliance, when provision tempts independence from God. This preparation is ensuring that when those moments arrive, you will remain anchored, not impressed by excess, not intoxicated by access, not distracted by applause. I have seen what happens when people receive abundance before surrender. It hardens them, it isolates them, it convinces them they no longer need counsel, prayer, or humility. God is sparing you from that fate. He is teaching you to remain open even as you are elevated, to remain teachable even as you are trusted, to remain grounded even as you rise. Chosen One, you are being invited into a rhythm of divine flow, not forced acceleration. Flow does not mean ease without effort. It means effort without strain. It means work that energizes instead of depletes. It means movement that feels supported, not resisted. This is why exhaustion has been leaving you. Even before outcomes change, your internal environment is shifting. Pay attention to how peace now interrupts panic faster than it used to. How discernment now checks excitement before you commit. How your spirit now pauses you when something feels misaligned. These are not obstacles, they are safeguards. God is building a filtration system within you so that when wealth and influence increase, only what aligns will stay. Anointed One, surrender is not weakness, it is agreement. Agreement that God sees what you cannot. Agreement that timing matters more than speed. Agreement that provision is safer in His hands than in your fear. When you surrendered certain plans, certain relationships, certain expectations, it felt like loss. But what you were actually releasing was limitation. There are things God could not bring into your life until you loosened your grip on what you thought you needed. Old definitions of success, old measures of worth, old timelines, those would have capped what was coming. So He invited you into trust, not once, but repeatedly, and each time you chose surrender, capacity increased. Chosen One. This is why you are now able to sit with uncertainty without collapsing, why silence no longer terrifies you, why waiting no longer feels like abandonment. You have learned that God works in layers. That absence of movement does not mean absence of activity, that the unseen is often more active than the visible. As this wealth transfer continues, you will notice provision arriving through alignment rather than force, through relationships rather than transactions, through insight rather than exhaustion. That is not accidental, that is divine design. God is restoring dignity to provision, removing shame from receiving, teaching you that abundance does not require self-betrayal. Anointed One, let go of the belief that struggle is proof of faithfulness. It is not. Obedience is proof. There were seasons when struggle was necessary to build endurance, but this season is about stewardship, and stewardship requires clarity, rest, and alignment. God is not calling you to suffer for provision. He is calling you to steward it wisely. You may feel moments of resistance still rising, old fears, old habits, old reflexes. Do not condemn yourself. Just notice them, acknowledge them, release them. Growth is not the absence of resistance. It is the speed at which you return to alignment, and you are returning faster now than ever before. Chosen One. You are not being shaped for survival anymore. You are being shaped for sustainability, for longevity, for impact that outlives trends and cycles. This is why surrender is non-negotiable, because what God is building through you is meant to last. Remain yielded, remain attentive, remain faithful in the small adjustments. Heaven is not rushing you because heaven is not worried. What is assigned to you cannot miss you when you stay aligned. Chosen one. As this season unfolds, you may begin to notice that your discernment is no longer reactive, it is anticipatory. You are sensing things before they arrive. You feel shifts before they become visible. You recognize when something is ending even before it collapses. This is not anxiety. This is spiritual sight maturing. God trains those he trusts to see ahead so they can steward what others will mishandle. There were times in my own life when I could feel a door closing weeks before it shut. At first, I resisted that feeling. I tried to reason it away to stay comfortable to avoid disruption. But every time I ignored that inner knowing, the cost was higher later. I learned that discernment is not meant to keep you comfortable, it is meant to keep you aligned. And alignment always costs something before it pays anything. Chosen one. The reason you have been feeling less attached to familiar structures is because they are no longer designed to support your next level. Familiarity feels safe, but it is not always sustainable. God is gently loosening your grip so that when movement becomes necessary, you are not dragged by what you refuse to release. This is not instability, this is readiness. This economic shift is accelerating the exposure of fragile foundations. What was propped up by momentum is being tested by weight. What was maintained by image is being tested by substance. And while many are scrambling to reinforce appearances, you are being invited to strengthen roots. Roots grow in silence. They deepen in darkness. They prepare in obscurity. And when storms come, roots decide what remains standing. Anointed one. Your preparation has not been visible, but it has been thorough. You learned how to live below your means when others mocked restraint. You learned how to value peace over prestige. You learned how to delay gratification without growing resentful. Those lessons were not about deprivation, they were about discipline. And discipline is what allows wealth to stay without becoming destructive. I want you to understand something critical. God is not allergic to abundance. He is allergic to idolatry. He is not opposed to wealth. He is opposed to dependence on anything that replaces him. That is why this season has been refining where you place your trust. Every time you chose obedience over outcome, you broke another potential idol. Every time you surrendered control, you cleared more space for provision to arrive safely. Chosen one. The people who are panicking right now are not weak, they are misplaced. They built their sense of security on systems that were never designed to be permanent. You built yours on relationship, obedience, and discernment. That is why your inner world is stable even when the outer world is not. Stability is not the absence of threat, it is the presence of trust. There will be moments ahead when you are offered shortcuts, faster money, easier routes, appealing compromises. They will come disguised as wisdom, but your spirit will recognize the cost immediately. You have been trained to value alignment over acceleration. That training will save you from expensive mistakes. Not every open door is permission. Not every opportunity is assignment. And not every increase is blessing. Anointed one, wealth that comes before readiness leaves quickly. Wealth that comes after refinement stays. God is more interested in what remains after the excitement fades than what appears impressive in the moment. That is why this transfer feels deliberate. There is nothing rushed about it. Heaven does not hurry. Heaven completes. You may also notice that your circle is becoming smaller, not because you are isolating, but because resonance matters more now. Surface-level connections drain you. Conversations without depth exhaust you. That is not arrogance. That is capacity awareness. God is conserving your energy because what you are carrying requires it. Influence demands clarity. Wealth demands discernment, and both require focus. I remember seasons when I felt misunderstood simply because I refused to participate in noise. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped defending my pace. I let silence speak, and in time the results explained everything. Chosen one. You do not owe clarity to those who are not aligned with your assignment. Your obedience will speak louder than your words ever could. This shift is also teaching you to receive without guilt, to accept provision without self-punishment, to rest without apologizing. Many people sabotage abundance because they associate worth with struggle. God is dismantling that belief in you. He is showing you that rest can be righteous, that ease can be holy, that receiving can be an act of faith. Anointed one, when provision begins to increase, do not rush to broadcast it. Let it settle, let it stabilize, let wisdom catch up to resource. God often hides blessing in its early stages to protect it from premature exposure. What grows quietly grows strong, and what grows strong lasts. You are being taught to steward silence as much as success, to hold vision without announcing it, to move without explanation. That discipline will protect you when attention increases. Not everyone needs access to what God is building through you. Not everyone can interpret it correctly. Discernment applies to sharing as much as it does to receiving. Chosen one this season is about sustainability, about building something that does not collapse under its own weight, about creating systems that serve purpose, not ego. God is not interested in a momentary breakthrough. He is establishing flow. Flow that supports you, those connected to you, and the assignment beyond you. There will be days when you feel the pull to compare again, to measure your progress against others. When that happens, return to what you know. Comparison distorts discernment. It pressures timing. It invites insecurity. You were not called to match someone else's pace. You were called to honor your own alignment. Anointed one. Everything you have learned about restraint, surrender, and discernment is about to become practical. You will apply it in decisions, investments, conversations, and opportunities. What once felt like abstract spiritual growth will become tangible wisdom. That is when you will realize nothing was wasted. Remain grounded, remain attentive, remain humble. The wealth moving toward you is not meant to change who you are. It is meant to empower what you have already become. Chosen one. This is the moment where everything you have been learning quietly begins to integrate, not as theory, not as inspiration, but as lived reality. The shift you are walking into is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to confirm you. Heaven is not surprising you with this season, it has been preparing you for it piece by piece, decision by decision, surrender by surrender. You may notice now that you no longer need constant reassurance. You don't need signs stacked on top of signs. You don't need external validation to keep moving forward. That inner steadiness you carry is not emotional numbness, it is trust matured. God has anchored you deeply enough that movement no longer shakes your identity. That is what allows wealth, influence, and responsibility to arrive without destabilizing you. There was a time when you asked God for clarity about the future. What you were really asking for was safety. But instead of giving you a map, God gave you discernment. Instead of certainty, He gave you stability. Instead of control, He gave you peace. And now you understand why. The future you are stepping into cannot be navigated with formulas. It must be walked with faith. Chosen one. Heaven has been aligning you not just to receive, but to lead. Leadership is not about position. It is about posture, and your posture has shifted. You listen more than you speak. You move with intention, not impulse. You choose integrity even when no one is watching. Those are not small things. Those are the traits heaven looks for when entrusting greater influence. I want to speak honestly here as someone who has stood where you are standing. When provision begins to flow, it can feel surreal. There may be moments where you wonder if it is temporary, if it could disappear as quickly as it arrived. That thought does not come from discernment, it comes from memory, from seasons where things did not last. But this is different. What is coming now is not fragile. It has weight, it has foundation, it has been tested before it ever reached you. Chosen one. The reason God took so long is because he was building something stable enough to last through cycles. Trends will rise and fall. Markets will shift again. Systems will change. But alignment endures. And what God establishes through alignment does not depend on conditions to survive. That is why you were trained to operate from peace, not pressure. Peace is not passive. Peace is powerful. You may also notice that your sense of purpose feels clearer now. Not louder, but clearer. You are less distracted by what does not matter, less tempted by what does not align. That clarity is essential. Wealth without clarity creates confusion. Influence without clarity creates harm. God is ensuring that when increase arrives, it amplifies vision, not noise. Anointed one. There will be people who misunderstand this season. Some will assume you were lucky. Others will believe you changed. Some may even feel threatened by your stability. Let them. You are not responsible for managing reactions. You are responsible for honoring alignment. Not everyone needs to understand what God is doing through you. They only need to witness its fruit. I have learned that true elevation often comes with quieter companionship, fewer voices, deeper conversations, more intentional relationships. That is not loss, that is refinement. God is surrounding you with those who can recognize weight without worshipping it, who can celebrate provision without exploiting it, who can walk with you without pulling you off assignment. Chosen one. The wealth being transferred into your life is not an end, it is a tool, a resource to build support, protect and extend what God has entrusted to you. That understanding will keep you grounded when numbers change, when influence grows, when doors open that once felt unreachable. You will walk through them without losing yourself because your identity was settled long before access arrived. There may still be moments of hesitation, moments where old patterns attempt to reassert themselves, fear whispering caution disguised as wisdom, doubt dressed up as humility. When that happens, return to what you know. Remember how far you have come. Remember the silence you endured. Remember the discipline you practiced. Remember the surrender you chose. Those are your anchors. Anointed one, you are no longer asking if God is involved. You are recognizing how deeply he has been involved all along. Every redirection, every delay, every closed door that saved you from something smaller than your destiny. You see now that nothing was wasted. Even the painful parts were shaping discernment. Even the lonely seasons were strengthening trust. This is what it means to walk in divine flow. Not absence of challenge, but confidence in direction. Not exemption from difficulty, but assurance in partnership. God is not ahead of you waiting. He is with you walking. And that awareness changes everything. Chosen one, allow yourself to receive this season without guilt, without rushing, without overanalyzing. Let provision arrive and settle. Let influence grow organically. Let opportunities unfold without forcing timelines. You do not need to chase what is already aligned to meet you. The wealth transfer you are experiencing is not dramatic in the way the world measures things. It is profound in the way heaven does. It is stable, it is purposeful, it is anchored, and it will sustain not just you, but the vision entrusted to you. Stay faithful in the small adjustments. Stay obedient in the quiet decisions. Stay humble in the visible moments. What God is doing through you is not fragile, it is established. And as you continue to walk in alignment, you will realize something deeply reassuring. You were never late. You were never overlooked. You were never unprepared. You were chosen. Chosen. Take a breath and let this moment settle into your spirit. What you have just received is not information, it is confirmation. Heaven has already set things in motion, and the shift you are sensing is not distant, not symbolic, not delayed. You are standing in your kairos moment, the exact window heaven appointed for your elevation and divine alignment. Anointed One. This economic shaking is not passing over you. It is passing through you, positioning you, authorizing you, and aligning you with a supernatural transfer that has been prepared in secret. What was promised is now activating. What was delayed is now accelerating. What was hidden is beginning to surface with clarity and peace. May your heart remain steady, your spirit remain surrendered, and your discernment remain sharp. May fear have no voice, confusion have no hold, and impatience find no place in you. You are not waiting anymore, you are walking in obedience, walking in favor, walking in heaven's timing. Chosen One, stay aligned with the flow of the anointing. Remain faithful in the quiet steps. Look ahead, not with anxiety, but with gratitude, knowing what is forming now will manifest with precision. If this word resonated deeply, you may seal it with a simple act of agreement. Leave a comment, share this message, or quietly subscribe so you remain connected to what heaven continues to release. Go forward in peace. The transfer is already in motion, and heaven knows exactly where to find you.